and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Plan channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you getting into my actual Paycheck 1 budget. This is what we're going to work on. But before we get into Paycheck 1, I want to go over some corrections for monthly budget. My monthly budget was, I had information that was not correct. Well, the information was correct. I misunderstood the information. It was something new. My husband started a new job. He's loving it. And the way they pay their employees is not what I expected. They're very slow at paying their employees. I should have known. It's the state. They're slow at paying everything. But when my husband got the email stating in the month of February, this is how much you would make. And I was estimating and guessing until the actual paycheck showed up. When we saw the first deposit, we were like, wait a minute. We're missing something here. So I'll pull up the calendar for February. My husband started on February 1st, and he did get that paycheck February 29th. I have the check, and I'm like, why is it so low and only for one from the 15th to the 29th? I misread it completely. It said it ended on the 15th. The dates. So your last paycheck of the month pays for the first 2 weeks of the month. And then the 15th through the 29th is going to be paid in middle of March. So this first through the 14th is going to get paid here at the end of the month. It's so confusing. So it's a 2-week delay before you get paid. So when I thought we were going to get all of February on the last day of February, that's not what happened. And that's what I had put here. I took taxes out and everything. I came really close. I guesstimated one salary check to be $1,388.99, and I got $1,331.36 on my husband's pay. So I was very close on what a 2-week pay period would look like, but I thought we were getting all of February at once. That's not how it works. So that number wasn't right, but this number is going to be pretty close, and so we did not have as much in this budget, but it was fine, totally fine, because we kept our spending as low as possible. Estimated total for the budget was $7,880.02, and with our spending categories, we are actually dropping those. I just realized that we're going to drop those amounts. We dropped them by $100. I did this after the fact, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it here because I have the budget amount and then the actuals. And as long as the paycheck periods have the right amounts, then that's all I really need. But I had to squeeze a little more money out to cover everything. I had to reduce $50 to grocery household and $50 to gasoline, which I did do here. I just didn't do it up there. Now that I've got that out of the way, if you saw that video, let's move on to Paycheck 1. I am so excited for March. It is so nice out, and I'm excited to get warmer weather. So I know the temperatures aren't quite there yet, but at least right now today the sunshine is shining, so I am thrilled with that. And we are going to put the information that I need for Paycheck 1. Now, if you saw my closeout video, you would know that we closed out February with $1,718.68. All right, so we're budgeting for the balance forward February's money into March. So balance forward means you take the previous balance and you move it forward to the month or paycheck period you're in. And I'm going to put that $1,718.68. Then we're going to put my husband's military retirement. That comes in on the 1st. And that is $1,828.12. I'm reading from my notes off to the side. Next, I have my husband's VA disability, and that is $2,428.91. Rent is $803 for my son, and then one salary check was $1,331.36. All right, I'm gonna put 0 for other. If there is other transfers from savings, or if our refund checks come in, our tax refunds, we've already filed our taxes, and there's Kentucky and Virginia state taxes that are coming back. If those come in, I have this placeholder to put them in. So we're good to go there. So we're just going to tally up the budget amount for Paycheck 1, what we can use for Paycheck 1. All right, so that gives us $8,110.07. Not too bad. Most of my husband's income is going to always be at the beginning of the month, and then we're just going to pay all the bills through it and make sure all the money is spread out well enough throughout the month that every bill is taken care of and our spending categories can be held in each time period, Paycheck 1 and Paycheck 2. And so Paycheck 1 is the 1st through the 14th of the month. And first thing we have budgeted is the food bank for $95. That was an adjustment to the military retirement after the new year. I changed that a little bit. $88, excuse me, for Pregnancy Help Center tithing. And then we're going to tithe the salary check at $134. Just round it up, I think is what we did. Yep. And then our mortgage changed and fluctuated because of the escrow and the property tax adjustments and not having enough in the escrow and too much and all this stuff. It's a big thing, but I'm putting they're going to charge $2,522.96. Now we still have $550 going to paying off or principal only payment. So that principal only payment is part of my Mortgage Monday, which will be next Monday, which I love those videos, just seeing how the mortgage changes and fluctuates month to month. And so our actual mortgage is less than this, but we add $550 and it works out just fine. Okay, so now we have Spectrum. I'm not sure why these fees keep popping up, but there you go, $171. It was $166, so it went up $4 or $5. Amazon Music, that's my husband's. We're going to talk about this and see if he still wants to keep this or not. And because of his work situation and is he utilizing it and all that stuff. So if it's not being used, we should not be paying just to have it around. Paramount Plus, it is being used. We're going to watch, what is that thing called? Knuckles. That's the show. We watch other stuff on there, but yeah, it's just one of those shows he really wants to see. Greater Europe Mission, Jim, is another tie to the VA disability. This is a separate one. This is $256.75. And then water this month, I've already got the bill for water, and that was $39.08. Well, I haven't got the bill. I got the notice in an email, so I know what that's going to be. And then YouTube Premium to avoid the commercials, $24.92. Yeah, one of my sons wasn't having it, and I was like, let's just not have commercials anymore. HP Instant Ink for my printables and stuff, $6.35. And Geico is $178.02. Over here, I have already figured out the budget for our spending categories. And I wanted to go over this a little bit because I think it confuses people how much, where my numbers come from and how I make the decision on spending and weekly spending. Let's see here. All right, here's the weekly spending. I just kind of wrote it out. You can take a look. This month we're doing $2,900 for the entire month. I'll zoom in a little bit. This time it's going to be $1,550 for grocery household, and the rest of them are pretty much the same. $500 for restaurants, $500 miscellaneous, $250 for gas. That might drop again next month, but I'm not sure yet. And $100 for copay for medical, prescriptions, doctor's visits, and things like that. So I'm putting a protective hedge around $2,900 for the month, but that's divided between 2 paycheck periods. So when I'm doing my budget here, I have to know how much is going into what paycheck period. So I take these numbers and I have to look at the calendar. I'm going to pull up my spending calendar here. One, I got to decide how many weeks. Let me zoom back out so you can see it. All right, so this is going to be my spending calendar for March. I think it looks really cute. I used Erin Condren stickers, and then I printed my own date dots. I think it turned out really well. But, and as you can see, we already have one item here. First day of March, we already have it. But here we go. What I have to decide when I'm looking at this calendar, I'm looking for how many weeks am I budgeting. I do a Friday to Thursday weekly check-in. So that's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then 1, 2, 3 days. That's what makes it a 5-week, is the 29th, 30th, and 31st for me. You don't have to do it this way, but because I start new at the first of every month, that's what makes sense to me, is to end it at whatever the last day of the month is. I try to keep whatever expenses and income in 1 month happening and staying in 1 month. I don't need to carry over from 1 month to the next an income that came here that's also going to pay part of April or something like that, because my husband gets paid on the first of every month. So the first question I asked, how many weeks is it? So I'm saying 5 weeks, with the last week being 3 days, which means I don't need to budget as much for 3 days. All I need to budget is just enough to get me through that weekend, and hopefully have a buffer in the check, leftover money for a buffer in the checking account. So, okay, now that you see the entire month view of what I'm planning to spend, let's go ahead and go to the weeks. So here I have written down the 1st through the 7th in my grocery household, the 8th through the 14th, each week here, 7 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then on the 5th week, I gave myself a different amount because it's a shorter 3-day week, where these are full 7-day weeks. So I'm giving myself this month, and it's not the same every month. Sometimes I have 400, sometimes I have something else. It just depends on how many weeks and what I plan, and if I have room in the budget to have extra money in these categories. But I'm planning $362.50 a week for the first 4 weeks. Week 5, I'm only giving myself $100. So that's good for grocery household. I have to track that. Next, I have restaurants. It's going to be $100 a week, because I know most of the time when we go out to eat, it's usually Friday, Saturday night, maybe Sunday, and $100 is usually good for the weekend. If I need a little more, I can get it out of a different category or the buffer checking account if we have the money. If I notice we don't have the money, we won't go out, and that's just how we've always done it. And then the last 3 categories right here, miscellaneous is $100 each week, just like restaurants, and I'm not changing that or reducing that any, just to keep extra money in my spending area in case I go over somewhere else. $50 a week for gas. Really, my vehicle, my husband probably will fill up once a month with his Jeep, and then I will fill up my tank on my gas twice a month usually. So that should be enough, broken up over time, that will cover any spending on gas. And then $20 a week on copay. I just balance forward whatever is not spent week to week until the end of the month, and usually it takes care of itself. So that is how I'm planning my weekly spending for the weekly check-in. That means I have to go here and look week 1 and week 2 These totals together, the $362.50 times 2, that is going to be what my grocery household is for my paycheck budget. So that's $362.50 times 2. That's $725 for 2 weeks. Should be enough, more than enough. So that is how I do my weekly check-in and where I get my budgeting numbers for my paycheck budgets and my weekly check-in budgeting per week. You don't have to do it that way, but that's just the way I happen to do it. Okay, so now that you know all that information, Paycheck 1 budget for grocery household is, like I said, $725. Writing on the coil is not fun. Okay. The next one is $250 for restaurants, $250 for miscellaneous, $100 for gasoline, $40 for copay, and $0 for unbudgeted. I never budget for unbudgeted, but I do leave a line item, so if we do spend more than what we expected, we have a line item to spend, then I will. And I put it in the actual column. Now, I don't need to do unbudgeted for federal tax because I'm planning for it right now because I'm setting up this. So, but federal tax, we know I already brought the money over and balanced it forward here. So it's sitting in the checking account waiting to be taken away and go bye-bye. There we go, $1,010. And that is the budget. Whew. And as you can see, these are, because these are double what I originally have for the weeks, all the cash I need for week 1 and week 2 for the weekly check-in is here and sitting in the checking account on the 1st of the month. I just have to track it a little bit and make sure I know how much I'm spending in the 6 different categories I have to make sure I stay within the budgeted amount I really want to have. And that's where I get my savings from, is from those spending categories. If I feel like saving, or if we feel like, if we're in a season of wanting to save, that's where it's coming from. And we kind of want to right now because we want to have a vacation in October this year, in fall. My husband and I are both October babies, so that's always a great time to go. And I think we're going to go back to Pigeon Forge again, so that'll be fun. So let's go ahead and total up how much spending and bills we have for Paycheck 1. Okay, so now I have all the numbers, but will they fit? Do I need extra cash? Let's see. I don't think I do. I have $8,110.07. I'm going to, I did type it right. 8110.07. $8,110.07. Okay. Subtract the $3,533.66 in bills and debt pay, because I do include that principal only payment. It's the only debt we're paying because we're consumer debt free, but not mortgage debt free. That is the bills that we are paying and the tithing and all the things that are coming out on the first 2 weeks of the month. And then we'll subtract my estimated spending, $2,375, and we still have $2,201.41. So this is the estimated balance forward. I'm going to get a little sticky note here, and we'll write this down. And that is Paycheck 1. So it's really good that we have a good amount that's going to balance forward from this paycheck to the next, because if this is the exact same amount that we're going to get in the middle of the month to finish the month off in Paycheck 2, let's see, $1,331.36, which is what I'm estimating. That's $3,500 here to get us through the rest of the month. And I want to protect as much of this as possible until I know how much is left over. I'm trying to look at my notes and see. Now, some of the extra money you see here is going to be that $700 from February, balancing forward paycheck to paycheck. And I want to, at the end of March, to keep March's money in March and what's left over that we've been balancing forward and using out of savings to go back into savings and see if we can fit our budget with the income that's going to come in and not have a big buffer. I prefer a big buffer in the checking account, but it just be sitting in the savings. It'll be fine. I think our income and bills and spending really match up very closely. I think there's like a $26 difference between the two numbers if I spend everything in the spending categories. If I don't, then that leaves more of a buffer in the checking account. And I think when I set up these 6 categories years ago and used these numbers that I have now and adjusted through the years, I think that's because I needed more of a buffer in the checking account and we didn't have a lot of extra money, and I knew I could save it from this. So I always budget high for this to make sure I have enough to cover everything, but at the same time, if we don't need all of it, I'm not going to spend all the money. So there you go. That's my paycheck 1. We are done and done. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.